without fear. There's no bravery. Now let's rock.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to heavybaghero UFC 322 recap. I think I'm disappointed. I think I would say I'm disappointed. I think it was an underwhelming card for the most part, except for the three bangers on the main card before the two main events, two title fights. Overall, pretty underwhelming card. And it was tough because the way I had to watch it was kind of brutal. It was outside, raining, 55 degrees. And that was like pretty much the only way I could watch it without just buying it on my phone and watching it in a hotel room. So, overall, pretty unimpressed with the hype that was built up for that. So, we'll go over it. I'm not going to go over every fight. I don't think every fight's worthy of going over, to be honest. I'll talk about some standout fights, some really interesting stuff. There were some interesting fights. It just wasn't one of those. College football was a much more exciting day than UFC. So, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. It's just kind of like, this is the story of Islam, but then also it's not the story of Islam because he gets finishes, but then he does this stuff like he did last night. And, I don't know. Just coming in to give my initial thoughts off the rip, coming back from this trip. And, we'll just go ahead and get into it, looking at the cards. Oh, man, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm disappointed, but I'm disappointed. That was just one of those, it just ended up being one of those cards that just makes you like, what are we doing? And I feel like the UFC has had a pretty good year this year, but this was just one of those cards that it was just like, it makes it hard to be a fight fan, if I'm going to be honest. Did pretty good with my picks, though. So if you rolled with me, I think I got maybe total maybe 3 incorrect. Not sure. Anyways, I'll just kind of roll through these early prelims. First of all, did not see this in the previous podcast. For some reason, ESPN wasn't showing this fight. Probably would have picked Camilo to win. Borsashev is just not a super dangerous fighter. I feel like I don't know. He's just not. He doesn't really have much. I don't want to say he doesn't have much to give. There's just nothing really special about him. And I hate to say that about someone, but there's just nothing really like special about him. And I really don't know much about Camilo, but I just based on Borsashev, I wouldn't have picked him in this fight. So ended up going up to decision. Wasn't a crazy fight. Bassinger Susukre versus Eric. I forgot how to say his name, even though I heard it a million times. Ended up being a minus 1050 odds, and Susukre fought like it. He was very cocky. He was kind of showboating around, giving the smiles when things were going on. Ends up getting the knockout in the third round, so good for him. I mean, I guess, confidence is good to have in a fight. So Eric was fighting a pretty good fight up until that point. I think he just got caught. But Susukre is good. He's good. He is going to be a problem, I think, but he's going to meet some resistance at some point. And it's going to be tough, but he's undefeated, 11-0 now, I believe. Let's see if it shows his record in here. It should. Maybe not. Anyways, Angela Hill, Fatima Klein, just kind of how we thought it was. Fatima fought a really good fight. She beat up Angela Hill pretty good. I thought she was going to get the finish. Ended up didn't get the finish, but pretty unanimous. Angela Hill's just kind of like, what are we doing? Like, you've been fighting for a long time, sister. It's all right. You can lay the gloves down. So. Pat Sabatini fought a really good fight versus Shepe Mariscal. Lots of wrestling. Shepe just couldn't stop him. Pat did great job wrestling. Shepe was great on the feet. He made Pat bleed a lot, but Pat just kept getting back to the wrestling and just using that over and over again. I don't know how many takedowns he had total, but let's say 10. Yeah, 12 significant strikes, 7 takedowns. Had a ton of control time, so I don't think they show control time on here, but ended up being an all right fight. Pat, it was pretty good scrambling, pretty good wrestling. I thought Pat did a really good job, stuck to his game plan to get the win, and he grinded it out and got it. And then Kyle Dawkins versus Gerald Meerschaert, exactly like I said. in the last podcast. Gerald Meerschaert is done in the UFC. He doesn't want to fight anymore. I have no idea why he keeps going in there. I don't know if he's throwing fights. I don't know if he is, I genuinely, the FBI should probably investigate him, because he got touched once and was like, I'm good. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I forgot how it even, it was a finish by submission. It took 50 seconds. And I'm just like, why spend so much time and get your people so involved, your team so involved, and train for however many weeks you trained for this, go through all the trouble of going to New York and traveling and going through fight week and then just getting in the cage and just like crapping out. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, I understand if Gerald's just like, I just want to be out of my contract, but I'm just like, dude, like, finish it strong. But to be fair, I don't know what's going on with Gerald. Maybe he's going through some sort of mental health thing. I don't know. But it's just like, I would hate that for him, and I hope that's not the case. But it's just so interesting to go from a guy who was like a pretty staple name in the middleweight division, and then just his last two fights, he's just like, it's just like he doesn't want to be there. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. It's just like an unfortunate thing if he's just kind of dragging along and dragging his team along. This ended up being Malcolm Wellmaker versus Ethan Wing. So the backstory behind this, Malcolm Wellmaker, originally on the card, was supposed to fight someone else. I forgot who that someone else was. You'll have to forgive me. I wish I was one of those analysis guys that had the memory of an elephant that could instantly recall it, like MMA Guru. But Ethan Wing came up from the regional circuit on very short notice. Like, I want to say a couple days, but I feel like I heard 10 days on the broadcast. But Malcolm Wellmaker, if you don't know about him, up-and-comer, just starching dudes in the first round. Knockout after knockout after knockout. Everyone's like, this is a serious prospect. He's looking really great. He's getting a lot of love on social media, getting his flowers everywhere. Ethan Ewing comes up from the regional circuit. I believe he was the champ wherever he was at. They bring him up, and he just absolutely dog walks Malcolm Wellmaker. And what I mean by that, I don't mean like he just beat the crap out of him. Like, he just completely controlled the fight. Malcolm Wellmaker's a striker, and Ethan Ewing just completely shut him down with his game plan. Just fought an amazing fight. 99 total strikes, 3 takedowns out of 5. 85 significant strikes to Malcolm Wellmaker, 77. It was very clear that Malcolm Wellmaker was like, he came into the fight and was like, I'm gonna have the opportunity for the knockout, and then he was looking for that the whole time, and Ethan just never gave him the opportunity. So then once he wasn't getting the opportunity, he went hunting for it, and then that was a problem because Ethan just took advantage of that. Every time he would throw a big hit, Ethan would see it coming from a mile away, slip, get up in the clinch, and just start beating the crap out of him. So really good fight. Ethan Ewing, congratulations. That was a great win to come up from the circuit and get over a prospect. Someone called it a fraud check. I don't know if you necessarily call it that, but it is what it is. Going up from there, Aaron Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. Nothing crazy. Aaron Blanchfield gets some win in the second round by submission. She was the favorite. Now she's probably going to go on to fight Shevchenko, most likely, I would imagine. I don't know who's all in this division that's ahead of her, but Aaron Blanchfield has been doing pretty well. It was on the feet, it was pretty even striking. Tracy was kind of controlling the fight for the most part, but every time Aaron Blanchfield would, I don't know, yeah, she went for a takedown twice, shot for 2 out of 3. She outstruck her pretty good amount, but and when I say Tracy was controlling the fight, I just mean she was walking Aaron down for the most part. From what I saw, I think I actually walked away during that fight, if I'm going to be honest. Moving on from that, we had Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodriguez, Mr. RoboCop. RoboCop, I'm sorry, bro. I'm not sleeping on you again. It's funny. Everything I said in the last podcast was true except about Gregory. Everything I said about Roman, it was actually Gregory who was dominating. Gregory came out, was throwing had amazing striking. I think he threw a kick that broke Kopylov's nose, completely flattened it. And he was just throwing hard the whole time. 91 total strikes to Kopylov's 54. 52 significant strikes to 90. I don't know what's going on with Kopylov. He had a really good run for a while, but he just is not fighting the same after Fluffy Hernandez and Paulo Costa. He struggled with those guys and, thought he was going to get his get back here, but he did not. Gregory Rodriguez, you're the real deal. Gregory Rodriguez fought a great fight. Has been fighting great fights. So Good on him. He punches hard. My Lord, that guy punches hard. Moving on from that, the featured prelim, Bo Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira. Bo Nickel, I think you might have earned it back. I think you might have earned your main card slot back. Honestly, it was to read it off, third round knockout head kick, pretty devastating head kick, put Rodolfo out for a while. Up until that point, Bo was he was on the winning side, absolutely. He was definitely winning the fight. But I just kind of was like, dang, this guy who was like this first round finishing freak, like same like Hamzat, we're like, oh my gosh, Hamzat and Bo Nickel are going to clash. And then he goes to decision with, who did he go to decision with? Wasn't Gerald Mearshart. He went to decision with someone, wasn't a super crazy fight. And then he got KO'd by Reinier de Ridder with the body KO. They move him down from the main card down to the prelims. And but he got it back. It was great. He really took advantage of throwing the body kicks, throwing the leg kicks. Rodolfo was dropping his hands, and he saw the opening through the head kick. Rodolfo dropped his hands to block the body kick, and he just got smacked on the chin. So good job, Bo Nickel. Way to earn it back, son. Way to earn it back. I initially was thinking, dang, here we go. First round finish guy. Now he's just a decision guy. He's just he's an uneventful decision guy now. But he got that knockout. Thought it was great. Still would like to see a little more. I'd like to see him get back to that Bo Nickel that was like terrifying and like a minus 1,000 every time he fought. Don't know if he's back to that. Don't know if he's just like trying a new style, trying a new method or whatever it may be. But good job, Bo Nickel. Got performance of the night. Moving into the main card. Okay, this was not on my prediction list. 16-second knockout. Benoit Saint-Denis throws a left hook. Hits Beneil Dariush right in the temple. Dariush goes down face first. Benoit then smacks him with a right hand while he's on the ground, and he just completely flattens out. It was a good call by the ref to get in there and stop the fight, even though Beneil immediately shot up and was like, what just happened? Like, why are you stopping the fight? It was a good call. Benoit Saint-Denis, great fight. I was really excited to see Beneil fight. And, like, even in those 16 seconds, I was like, oh, this could be a really, really good fight. Like, he was throwing good kicks. They were having a good engagement. But, it just ended so quick. You know, you can't really say much. Good job, Benoit Saint-Denis. I think he still needs to fight. I think he was asking, he did the whole, like, give me my belt thing. Don't think you're there yet. Think you still got to go through that top 5 that is unbelievably terrifying in the lightweight division. The top 5 that just does not move. You tried it once with Dustin, didn't make it. So now it's got to be like, I think maybe you do Charles Oliveira versus Benoit Saint-Denis. That would be a good fight to make. That would be a really good fight to make. I'll go through the rankings after this and kind of talk. And then this freaking welterweight division, man. This welterweight division is insane. Carlos Prates versus Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards, the former welterweight champion. Leon Edwards had great success in the first round, did a lot of wrestling, did exactly what his game plan was. And everyone was sleeping on Leon. I kind of figured he could pull off some wrestling, especially with Prates, who has shown that he does not like to wrestle. And is not super great at it. Ian Gary really kind of exposed that whenever they fought, and Leon took advantage of it. Unfortunately for Leon, he thought he could strike with Carlos Prates, and that turned out to be an absolutely massive mistake. Prates hit him with a beautiful cross, literally launched Leon off of his feet. He landed on his back, and Prates hit him with a follow-up shot. Complete KO. Crazy KO. Carlos Prates is a force to reckon with. He is unbelievable. Obviously, he still has weakness in the grappling, but he is knocking out guys who have never been knocked out before, which is just insane. So, Liang had never been knocked out. Leon Edwards had never been knocked out. His last fight, Jeff Neal had never been knocked out, and he got him with a spinning elbow. So Pratis is like kind of scary. So ended up being a really good fight. Leon Edwards, say goodbye to your rankings, brother. I think you're going down. You're really going to have to earn it back. Moving on from that, and this will all tie in nicely. This is big welterweight night. Sean Brady, number 2 welterweight versus Michael Morales, number 9. Ended up being a pretty... I did not realize how gigantic Michael Morales is. 2 things. One, how good is Alexander Volkanovski being as small as he is and utterly dominating guys who are taller than him, like Islam. I hate to say it, but like Max Holloway. I'm just like, it just gives me a whole new respect for Volkanovski because Sean Brady was significantly smaller than Michael Morales. And Michael Morales just beat the brakes off of him. Every time he hit him, he stunned him. But what's crazy is I said this in the last episode. Michael Morales just is like raw talent. He does not look like he is super technical in his fighting, like in his striking. It just seems like almost just raw talent. Like obviously he's worked on it and he's become very good. But just like compared to Sean Brady, if you watch them like, I don't know, maybe hit pads or like hit the bag, you would just see like the way Sean Brady throws punches just seems like super technical, super on point, where Michael Morales is just kind of like a little more all over the place, those big looping stuff instead of straight down the pipe. And but man, he can get to the chin. He has no problem getting to the chin. And Sean Brady just could never really get inside enough to do anything. He was throwing some great check lefts, but they weren't really doing anything to Michael. Michael was like leaned really far forward, so he couldn't get to Michael's legs easily without absorbing some damage. And Morales just like, genuinely, he is huge. I did not realize how big he is for this division. He looks like he should be fighting a light heavyweight. Not even 185. The dude is massive for this division. So it's interesting because Dana called this a title elimination fight, which I thought was really interesting. Obviously if Sean Brady won this, yeah, he would go fight for the title. But Michael Morales, I'm like, I don't know if you do that. Like now I think you do Morales versus Carlos Pratis. You do Morales versus Carlos Pratis. They fight whoever's next. Or whoever wins that fights Islam, because obviously Islam won. But I can't, that's what makes sense to me. Now, whether that happens because Islam keeps calling out Usman, I would love to see Usman and Islam. The only issue is I'm just like, Usman's like, I don't want to say he's past his prime, but it's like Islam had his day. Golly, I'm too tired for this. Don't go to Vegas, people. Usman had his day where he would just utterly dominate everyone. And I think he would put a great fight up against Islam. And I think that, that would really do it for me. If Islam beat Usman, I would be like, okay, he's the greatest of all time, because I think Usman is one of the greatest of all time. I think he is the greatest welterweight of all time, in my opinion. But Michael Morales versus Sean Brady ended up being completely what I didn't think it was going to be. And again, I feel like if I would have seen them maybe stand next to each other, which I wasn't paying attention enough, it would have been a different story. But this card was like the tail, like the story of the card was like size differences, because Shevchenko versus Weili, which I'll just go ahead and get into right now. Shevchenko and Weili was just like, it was clear and apparent that Weili should not have gone up in the division. She should not have gone up to fight Shevchenko. I know she wanted the challenge. She deserved the challenge, but it was clear as day that Shevchenko just completely and utterly dominated because of her size. Obviously, Shevchenko is unbelievably skillful, but it's just like Weili couldn't do anything. She had no shot. Shevchenko used the size to her advantage. Pretty boring. Very boring 5-round fight. Shevchenko's great. You can't say she's not, but it's just like, Oh, it's just one of those fights you're just like, come on. It's frustrating because Shevchenko has so many weapons in her arsenal. This is what's frustrating about this fight. But I get less mad at Shevchenko than I do at Islam. I think I should be more mad at Shevchenko when you think about it. But Shevchenko has so much in her arsenal that she can use, and she just like chose to lay on top and try and get to the crucifix and use ground and pound. And it's just like, girl, like you got Wei Li, you're beating her on the feet. Like, why not just keep doing that? Like, keep doing that. But it's just like, I'm an idiot. I'm dumb. The best way to secure a fight is if you can get it to the ground and hold him there. You're gonna win the fight. Like, it's the easiest method. It takes the least damage. But I'm just like, man, as a fan, I'm just like, this is brutal to watch in 55 degrees and it's raining. Anyways, Zhang Wei Li, love her to death. Think she's great. She's going to go down. She'll fight Mackenzie Dern. I imagine she'll probably beat the brakes off of Mackenzie Dern to get that belt back, unfortunately. Sorry, Mackenzie. But, yeah, Shevchenko, you're a beast. It was just a disappointing fight. Like, it just felt like you could have had your way with that. And I don't know if she was just trying to be courteous to Wei Li to be like, oh, I really don't want to hurt you. Because she could have. She absolutely could have. So, ended up being a really underwhelming 5-round fight. For the women's flyweight title. I don't know what you do for Shevchenko. I guess Erin Blanchfield's next after a win with Tracy Cortez. And now to the main event. Like I said earlier, I was ready to give Islam his flowers for this. I was ready to be like, okay, I am Islam's biggest hater, and I can't be anymore because he shut me up. But that was only going to come if he was going to get a submission and put up a good fight. And it is fights like these that make you completely forget Islam's other wars he's been in, like with Dustin Poirier and Alexander Volkanovski, and that he's like gotten Charles Oliveira out in the first round. He got Moicano out in the first round. It's just like, this was just a brutal fight to watch. And I don't know, and this is what's hard for me right now. And why I'm so confused is because, like, on paper, Islam is, like, one of the greatest of all time. Truly. Double champ. His past opponents' records are, like, 57. No, sorry. All of them were on huge win streaks. And except for, like, a few of them. But all of his past opponents, their win streaks, if you added them all up, were, like, 57-0. That's what people just kept tweeting out today or sending out on X. And all of the Islam lovers were just like, look at this, look at this, look at this. And compared to like Ilya, who his last were like 0-3, right? They didn't have great win streaks. Like Jack Della Maddalena was on an 18-fight win streak. Volkanovski was on a 22-fight win streak. Charles Oliveira was on a huge win streak. I forgot what his was, maybe 12 before Islam beat him. So it's like, dang, yeah, he's really good. And it's kind of hard to argue with that. When he gets Charles Oliveira out in the first round, he knocks out Volkanovski in the first round in the second fight. He beats Moicano in the first round. And then goes 5 rounds with Dustin Poirier, which is just like, how good is Dustin Poirier, right? Goes to absolute war with Islam. But it was just weird from the start. You're like, it's a classic Islam fight. He stands up for a little bit, kind of lulls him to sleep, gets his opportunity for the takedown, takes it easy, and Jack just kind of like lays there. Not doing anything, not trying to explode out of it, not trying to scramble. He's just like laying there, like maybe processing, maybe analyzing, and you're like, okay, you got 5 rounds. This is fine, right? And then it happens again in the second round. 4 minutes of control time in the second round, and Jack's doing the same thing. And you're like, okay, man, like maybe try and get up, right? And then in the third round, you're like, surely he will be more explosive trying to scramble, and he doesn't. And then the fourth round, you're like, he needs a finish here. Now he's got to stay on his feet, and he doesn't. And then the fifth round, same exact thing. I think I ended up walking out with 2 minutes left because I knew I was going to finish. This is what's hard for me is Islam he went for submissions and was unsuccessful. And officially, he had 19 minutes of control time with 0 submissions and 32 significant strikes in a 5-round fight. And here's where the difference is with Khabib. Khabib is beating the brakes off of guys on the ground. And what I keep going back to, like when I think about if there's any type of like Dagestani wrestling that was good, it was Khabib. I think about when he fought Michael Johnson and is just talking to Michael Johnson the whole time, and there's like someone cage side with the camera, and you can just hear how hard he was hitting Michael Johnson, and he's like, "It's my turn, brother. I have to fight. I have to fight for the title. Give up. Give up." And he's just throwing these thudding punches at him, which Islam just doesn't do. And Khabib was just screaming at him, "Smash, smash, smash." And he just wouldn't. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, why did he fight like this? Why didn't he go for more submission attempts? Like, was he being conservative because he knew Jack could scramble really well and he didn't go quite for submission attempts? Like, what was wrong with Jack? Like, and here's the thing. If Jack comes out and is like, I had a broken rib going into that fight, it's just like, there we go. Another asterisk on Islam's resume, which is just sucks. It sucks for him. It sucks for the fans because it's like, JDM's rib is broken. Like, of course you're going to have a lot of success, Islam, and win the fight. And then you go back and, you know, you've got Volkanovski on 1 week notice or 2 week notice. And then you've got Moicano on like 3-day notice. And then you've got Bobby Green on like a week's notice and Dan Hooker on a week's notice. And it's just like all these weeks' notice like start to add up. And DC made the point one time that Islam's just like, all right, I'm going to go to bed. Let me know who I'm fighting in the morning. Right. And it's like, that's cool. That's great. But it's just like, it's still, there's an asterisk next to it because there isn't proper preparation like Islam was able to have. And it's just like, it's very clear that preparation is real. Right. Like, and I feel like the Volkanovski fights were a great example of good preparation for a fight. And like Volk didn't have his mind right. He is like overweight, eating like crap, drinking a bunch, and then got 2 weeks to get ready for Islam Makhachev, the pound for pound #1 fighter. And he got knocked out. He didn't get to go back and really watch, maybe film and really drill like, hey, he was throwing head kicks a lot. And so we need to make sure you're protecting your head on this. But it's like, even in the first fight, he was protecting his head enough every time. And you're just a sharper fighter when you have a camp, when you have a full camp. And so it's just like, I hate guys that are just like, oh, you should always be ready to fight at any point in time. And it's just like, dude, yeah, but at the same time, camps definitely help. Like, that's why these guys pay so much money to their coaches, so much money to their teammates, and bringing out and flying out guys who are specialists in certain things. And so it's just frustrating because if JDM comes out and is like, I had a broken rib or whatever, because he was wincing in pain every time they were on the ground. And I'm just like, what is going on? And the commentary booth was like, oh, maybe it's his right leg. And I'm like, you don't wince in pain from your right leg when the guy's in half guard for 4 minutes. And it was like every time Islam was applying pressure, JDM was wincing in pain and somehow. So just so unfortunate, man. He didn't land anything on him. He didn't put any hands on Islam. It was just a weird fight. I just didn't understand it. I'm like, did he get blinded by the lights? Did he just like get overwhelmed? Because like in those last 2 rounds, JDM was like visibly distraught, and my thought was like, he's hurting. He's hurt. Like he broke his arm. He broke his arm in the Gilbert Burns fight, like a clean break in his fibia, and still got the takedown, or I say still got the TKO. And I'm just like, I just feel like he had to have been hurt. I don't know. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but it's just a weird fight. But it's just, again, I've ranted about this before, and I'm going to rant about it again. The way that Islam won is just so boring and bad for the sport. You hype UFC 322 up so much, and this is one thing I love Ilya, and I'll give Ilya. Ilya knows the balance between fighting safely and entertaining the fans. He talks about it all the time, and he's like, that's how I want to fight. But Islam, it's just like, it's a taking advantage of the scoring system, because it's like they literally could go all night. They like there's no like, I don't know how to explain it. If you put no timer on this fight and we're just like go until someone gets a finish, it's gonna go on for eternity in the way Islam fought, right? Like, or until Jack gets up and finally lays hands on him or something. It's just like there was no attempt at getting a finish. There's no attempt at, it was just like I've talked about this before, but to me, the whole point of like UFC and fighting is just to be like, who is going to walk out of this cage alive? Who is the badder man? And I don't feel like Islam is the badder man. He just took advantage of the system, right? And in order to get his win. Like, he can't say, Jack, I whooped your butt. And like, Jack's not going to take that. Jack's going to be like, you laid on top of me for 20 minutes. And it's just like, there was no real damage done. The most damage that either one received was Jack's right leg from Islam's leg kicks. That's it. That is like the only real damage that was done. And so it's just frustrating, man. It's just like it's like Islam, it's like he didn't want to be like, I'm a better fighter than you. It's just like, I just want to get this win and I'm going to do it by taking advantage of the system. And this might be a dumb take. I'll admit that. This may be a stupid take. But the way I see it is like, if you're going to step into the ring with someone, you shouldn't be thinking about the scorecards. You shouldn't be thinking of, okay, how am I going to get 10 points this round? There is an aspect, though, these great fighters, with securing the first 3 rounds or first 2 rounds, whatever, doing whatever you need to do to secure those first 2 rounds and then kind of working from there. Like, I understand that's a very real thing. I understand that it's like a very practice thing that's like, hey, we need to secure these first 2 rounds and then maybe go for the finish in the third. But it's just an interesting aspect to me. Like, if I were to go in and fight in a cage with someone, my goal is to be like, I'm better than you, and I'm going to show you that I'm better than you. I'm not thinking about the scorecards. I want to keep the scorecards out of it. I want to beat you up. That is why we are I am fighting to show that I am a better, stronger, greater fighter than you are, right? And I don't know. Maybe this is a dumb take, but it's just like, my objective would be to get the finish. Even if I'm wrestling a bunch, I would try and get to, I say all this, who knows what I would do in a cage. But in my head, you know, I would try, if I got to a takedown, I would be working for submissions. I would be working for ground and pound. I wouldn't just be like laying there in half guard and just trying to control hands and control movement and trying to keep you in the same place. And that's what's frustrating. That is what's frustrating, is that it's like Islam did not go for submissions. He would just try and keep Jack in the same place. And so Jack would try and do something, Islam would move his hands around. Jack would try and do something, he'd move his hands around and stop it. And so it was just like, he wasn't going for the submission, so Jack would just lay there. Jack would just lay there and be like, all right, I'm just going to wait for an opportunity. Islam would start moving a bit, maybe to try and get him into the crucifix or pin his arm. And it was just disappointing. It's just a disappointing fight at the end of the day. And Islam is just like, no one, this is the other aspect. I will go back and watch Anderson Silva's fights. They are exciting. They are fun to watch. No one is going to go back and watch this fight. No one. No one's going to go back and watch this and be like, wow, what a great fight. But this is where I get confused. I will absolutely go back and watch Dustin Poirier versus Islam Makhachev. I will absolutely go back and watch Alexander Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev. Those are phenomenal fights. I will go back and watch those. Great fights. But it's just so confusing because it's like, it's like, I can't argue with this guy. He's doing amazing. He's getting first round finishes. He's finishing his opponents. He hasn't lost in 11 years. What do you say? What do you do? I don't know. But the freaking welterweight division, man. I feel like when I got into the UFC, when I really started watching it, it was not a exciting division. Like, Usman was just cleaning up all the time. Like, it was the top guys were Usman, Gilbert Burns, Paulo Costa, Marvin Vettori. I think Leon Edwards was kind of working his way up at that time. But like, no one really crazy. But now it's like, these dudes are insane. You've got Jack Della, who's probably just dropping to number one, I would imagine. I'm not even going to. Bilal Muhammad's trash. Sean Brady, who's phenomenal, even though he just got knocked out. Shavkat Rakhmonov, no idea where that guy's at. Leon Edwards, former champion, but he just got finished. Kamaru Usman, number 5, still a phenomenal fighter. Ian Machado Gary's have been having a great fight, or great fights. He's coming up. Joaquin Buckley, I don't know why he's number 7. Michael Morales, about to jump up to number 2 probably. Carlos Prates, Gabriel Bonfim, he just got the win over Randy Brown, jumped up to number 10. How Colby Covington is in the top 20 doesn't make any sense to me. Gilbert Burns, Jeff Neal, Daniel Rodriguez, Mike Mallet. And the same thing with the middleweight. Like, those were two divisions that were not super exciting to me starting out, but it's looking good. I don't know. I don't really know what you do here. It's kind of weird. You know, Bilal probably needs to fight someone before he fights for the belt. But also, him and Islam have expressed, we are not fighting. Even though I'm kind of like UFC, just make the fight. Like, let's see it. Bilal's not fighting for the belt. He's going to have to fight someone else. You got Sean Brady. He's dropping down. He's going to have to fight someone in the top 10. Shavkat, who knows where Shavkat is. I think you try and make Shavkat versus Bilal. That would be a great fight. Kamaru Usman, maybe give him a chance at the title. Morales probably isn't getting. I think you do Morales versus Prates. Like, I feel like that is the fight to make. Prates versus Morales. If they want to fight soon, make that happen. You do Usman versus Islam. The thing is, Islam just takes so long to fight. Like, it just takes forever for him to come around for a fight. But he didn't take a lot of damage, so I don't see why I wouldn't fight a little earlier than he would. But maybe you do that. Maybe you do Jack Della versus you wouldn't do Bilal Muhammad. They've already fought. Jack versus Shavkat. Because Bilal's fighting Ian Machado Gary this weekend, so we'll see how that shakes out. So maybe you do Jack versus Shavkat, Usman versus Islam, Michael Morales versus Carlos Prates, and that's your top 10 right there. Those are the fights to make. See how Ian Machado Gary and Bilal shake out, and then maybe winner of that maybe fights Sean Brady. Leon Edwards later. Get out of the top 10. I'm not even going to mention you in that. So, really ended up being a really interesting. It just was a frustrating card. So, that's all I can say about it. Instant reactions, day after. I'm ready to go to bed now. I will probably post another podcast later on this week talking about the fight this upcoming weekend. I think it's a really good card. So, pretty excited about it. But go check out Heavy Bag Heroes. You can get merch like this, the oversized heavyweight shirts, really cool, really comfortable, classic logo like this, or you got some of the other ones that have, or not the classic logo, sorry. I don't know what logo this is called, HBH logo. And then you've got the, I do have the classic logos in there with some cool back shirt design prints, like Heavyweight World Champion. Those are pretty fun. So go check out heavybagheroes.com for that stuff. And, yeah, follow on Instagram. Hopefully I'm going to have some good content making fun of this past weekend coming up this week. I've got some good ideas. Shout out to my boy Spencer for giving me a good idea this weekend after that fight. So stay blessed. Have a good night.